You know, when you use the term systemic racism, that means racism is in every system in America. Understand that. Racism isn't just the Proud Boys and you know, the alt-right and all the people like that, the Klan, neo-Nazis. That's what I would call white supremacist extremists. Your average white supremacist is working everywhere, grocery stores, and like in this story, at the fire department. So you have the Winston-Salem Fire Department back in November 2019. They said firefighters are beefing up their ropes and tying, knots when the symbol of a hate crime interrupted the class. I said Michael Chapman, they said a white fireman, tied a noose and held it up to Darius Johnson, one of his counterparts in the department. So you remember we covered a story out of Kansas City at another fire department where a brother was standing there and a white person come put a noose around his neck. And, we talked about that particular story. So these racist incidents is happening all over the place. So they said the nooses were tied around, of course, the necks of black men. We being hung in America all the way up until today. Even they don't like to call it, they claim black men are committing suicide. The freaking lie. Now they said that they reported that to the higher up, the fire chief named William Mayo. William Mayo. Okay. He said, yet when Mayo was made aware, he took no action against, this white supremacist, choosing instead to move to the next topic of discussion. So he's like, it is what it is. You black folks just deal with it. So they filed a grievance with the black firefighters in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It alleged the top ranking members of the city's fire department have allowed a culture of systemic racism to fester throughout the ranks. They say the grievance was filed in October by Omnibus, a contingent of current and retired black firefighters in Winston-Salem who say they've been subjected to racist and inappropriate comments in person and via social media. They say this has been happening for years. They say nothing has been done whatsoever. You understand? Now, they said that many things has happened. Like I said, Chief Mayo has failed. It said those under his command by allowing them to endure both direct and indirect threats. It said when made aware of the infractions, Chief Mayo failed to act or did so in a manner that was less than appropriate, for the violation. You understand? So they were saying that they had reported several Facebook postings from the fire department brass to say over the summer. They said reminiscent of the not so distant past. They said many of them were anti-protest sentiments that cast aspirations of national demonstrations following George Floyd. So, of course, a lot of them was pissed off by George Floyd. One time, one of them walked up to a brother and said, how is it okay for you guys to call each other the N-word, but we can't call you the N-word? Things like that they would say. Or they said another thing like, what would traditionally be considered white space? He said, now you're introducing this element of young African-American men who were college educated, and a lot of those captains and engineers were not. Who fault is that, dummies? Because you didn't go to college? You were there all those years? See, the thing is about y'all, especially white supremacists on these jobs, you got jobs that you didn't earn. See, black people, when they get a job in this system, they earn it. Like they went to school. They got their education. So they become a captain or engineers because they got the education and experience to do it. You come in on this nepotism because of your color. That's really what it is. And then you get jobs that you don't deserve. And now you're threatened by young black men that got actual education. And it's your fault you didn't go back to school and get your education. Don't sit up there and get threatened by nobody. That's your problem. You never want to compete. You just want everybody just to be lower than you because you don't want to compete. Brothers are competing every single day throughout the world. We're not set up here and cowering down to y'all. Forget that. So they said that when they were training young brothers, they would set them up for failure. It was just, trying to haze, do all kinds of things to try to get these brothers to quit or walk away from their jobs or get fired. But it goes back to what they were saying. Think about it. Not only you're racist, you're intimidated because you don't have the education, you don't have the know-how at all. So you got in by the color of your skin. You didn't get in by your intelligence. You didn't get in by your know-how or your education. And see what's happening in this country every year. What's eroding is that white privilege. Believe it or not, you say, oh, it's real. Yes, but it's eroding because think about it. A lot of them will be in touch with coronavirus too now, but with their money. See, not everything your skin color can get you out of, like coronavirus. And their own people is giving them $600. It ain't black folks, because we don't run the government like that. How you go from $1,200 to $600, and then Nancy Pelosi says, hey, that's a significant amount of money. Really? But hey, let them deal with them. Because you know, as black folk, we know how to make $1 out of 15 cents. We'll be good. But the thing is, they can't compete. Anytime somebody comes to compete with them, they mad about it. If they get on an equal playing field to actually compete with people, they lose every time. They got to have the unfair advantage against you because they never been put in a position to compete. That's why, you know, it hurts them more when they're losing their privilege, because now when they lose their privilege, they got to have to start getting equal with you to compete. And we already know what's going to happen on that. And that's why they pissed off. That's why they hate the brothers that's coming in. Well, get ready, because people are going to compete with you. Not just brothers, but other groups going to compete with you too. Not everything will just be handed to you like you had it all these years. Well, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the situation, the stories of these brothers. You know, dealing with the white supremacists in the fire department. These same people actually go and respond to black people. They probably don't want to respond. I mean, just hateful, man. Hateful, hateful, hateful. They need to get every one of them off those jobs, period.